everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to IIUM Brilliance, where we explore secrets to unlock potentials. Our very goal with this show is basically to dive into the mindsets, insights, and ingredients of success of IIUM very own high achievers in the fields of academic, intellectual, and education. But most importantly, we are very honored to actually invite over to our show people and IIUM community who have significantly contributed to the development of our society through their works. So this week we have a very special guest whom I very much admire, and I could talk with her for hours because she has an unprecedented stories from her travels and activism all around the world, from across Malaysia to the Philippines, in Africa, to helping refugees in Syria and Turkey. She has served communities in many places, giving out humanitarian aids, like I said, to the refugees and all around the world. And not only that, she also is very active in publishing numerous articles and journals on philosophy, education, and thinking, and everything in between. She obtained her BBA and MBA from Eastern New Mexico University in the United States of America, and she obtained her doctorate from International Islamic University, our very beloved university. So please join me in welcoming our very special guest for this week, Associate Professor Dr. Wan Mazwati Wan Yusoff. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Wan.
Thank you for inviting.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
so glad to be here.
It's our honor because I know when we want to talk basically about creativity and problem solving, these very two things or elements listed by the World Economic Forum to be the set skills required to thrive in 2020, we know she's the best person for us to invite over. So I remember taking creative thinking class with you, and that was the moment when I was exposed to your activities all around the world on activism. And I remember you shared about you helped to initiate a building for women. It's basically an education center. And from that, I also learned about how you spend most of your resources, like your time, your energy, your money. When you're not teaching, you help the less fortunate people who are facing quite extreme cases, like the refugees in Syria and Turkey. So we know that when we do something, we devote our life into it. What exactly that moves you to do that?
Okay, I will tell you a quite long story.
Yeah.
I will make it short. Okay, it begins when I was like 19 or 20 years old.
All right.
Okay, at that time I start to learn Islam and start to understand Islam and start to read the Quran and Hadith. And I come across this Hadith that says all our amal is top except three. One is children who pray for you. Okay. Second is sadaqatul jariyah, and third is beneficial knowledge that you share with others. Okay, so I plan my life along this line. This is like my roadmap. Okay, so I tell myself I should get married early, so that I can have children that, and then I raise these children so that they can pray for me when I die. Yeah. Okay, I did that. Okay, so I really got married very young, actually, when I was in graduate years.
So you were 19 and 20 when you were in the USA?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I learned, and then I learned, and then with not only in my own area, because at that time I was interested really in accounting. I love accounting, and I want to be an accountant. But then when I have my first child, my interest changed into human development. I love to, I call myself at that time human designer. I want to design human being. Yeah. Okay, and then I venture myself. I read. I learn on my own on education. Yeah. This is my goal to raise my children who will pray for me. And then I share also my knowledge by doing seminars and also training. Even though at that time when I come back to Malaysia, I was not working, but then I got involved with society a lot. I'm an active member of society, and I train them, and I learn, and transfer my knowledge, and I keep learning. I know that's my passion. I want to know something new. I'm passionate about education, so I keep learning and sharing. And then now I'm a teacher. That's my objective also achieved. During at that during my younger age up until now, I also try to donate, try to help, not only donating my money, but also my energy, my time, for the good of people, of others. Okay, and then before it's like a very small scale, and then we have the war. Okay, before I keep donating to some NGO that I like, that I trust. Okay, up until 2013. And then in the Syrian war, and the news that we got in Malaysia is very conflicting. I don't know which one is true. If you read the social media, I mean, some say this one is right, some say this one is right. I mean, conflicting news, and then I keep fighting, trying to find out what is the truth. And then one day I told my husband I want to go. So to Syria. And then my husband said okay. And then I contact this person, and we went in 2013 to the border of Syria through Turkey. And now at that time I witnessed with my own, not only I witnessed what happened to the Syrians. It's really, I was crying almost every place that I went to. I cried a lot, but then I witnessed also, I question where the money goes. I mean, how much we donated and where the money goes. I mean, our leader, I mean, keep it very secretly. I mean, we don't know how much they give to the refugees, because I donated a lot. I think I have the right to know, but then I didn't know. So, and then I found out that some of NGO took certain percentage of the donation for management purposes, which is okay. I'm okay with it. I'm not against it, but I'm against those who take too much. For me, I think if you take 30%, if you collect 1 million, it's 300,000. So I think that should not be the case, because that money should be given to the refugees. Okay, and then from that I told my husband, I want to do it myself. Okay, I want to do it myself, and then the money 100% will be given to the refugees. All the other costs, because I'm working, I have my own salary, I can bear on my own.
So basically, when you were younger, you encountered this one hadith which talk about how to add on our pahala as well. The three things. And so you started with teaching, to spread knowledge, and having a family, to have solehin, I mean, among the children to pray for you. And then you have started donated to the NGOs to help the refugees. But then you're moved by the wars, by the Syria. And right now, when you see that the people there, they're not getting enough help after all the thousands of dollars donated, so you want to get it back on your hand. So that is a fascinating story, because first of all, I didn't think about it began with being married earlier, and then also having children, and then teaching, and also just doing it hands-on, also helping. So we'll continue after this, after the commercial break, and please stay tuned. how you get involved with humanitarian works. And I think that's very fascinating because a lot of times, especially this time, and today we heard a very tragic news from New Zealand, people would be enraged by such news. And the question is that, especially for the young generation, we've been associated with the habit of liking to whine and complain instead of taking action the way you're taking action, right, with your own hands. So what are your 3 tips perhaps for all of us, students especially, to develop an optimistic mind, especially in the face of crisis?
Okay, 3 tips. Okay. Tips number 1, sincere. You have to be sincere. But people don't quite understand what is sincere.
Yeah.
Okay, sincere means you. It's easy. I give you an example.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, you help somebody. You help somebody with energy, with money, with your time.
Yeah.
Okay, and then suddenly that person didn't even say thank you.
Yeah.
Or didn't when you need help, didn't even come and help you.
Yeah.
But if you do it for Allah, you don't care, and you just say to yourself, I do it for Allah. I did it for Allah. Therefore, I don't need anybody to approve it or to help me. I can seek help at other places. Not necessarily that when we have somebody, they will help us back.
Yeah.
Probably we get help from some other people. Okay, so meaning sincere meaning that you will not one day go to that person and tell them I did this to you and why you did this to me. Okay, you just forget it. Okay, when you do good deed, you forget it. But when somebody else do good deed to you, you should make a big hype about it. You should tell people that this person do good things to me, blah blah blah. But when somebody did bad thing to you, you just keep quiet. Number 1, okay.
Yeah.
Number 2, be positive. Okay, be positive meaning whatever happened to you, even though it's really you have problems,
Yeah.
but you have to think of the positive side, because you have to believe that when Allah says Allah created everything for a purpose, there should be purpose behind it, or many purposes.
Yeah.
And you should find out what are the purpose, and you should find out what are your purpose of living also, and be positive even though in the face of a really big problem. Okay, probably like for myself, I experienced some emotional ups and down. Okay, actually my life mostly Allah tried me on the emotion side. Okay, not on the other side, not
Yeah.
not on property, not on money, but on the emotion side. I always sometimes I thank Allah for giving me that test or that wake up call, so that I can reflect and ask myself, what have I done bad, what have I done wrong, how can I improve my life,
Yeah.
how can I be closer to Allah. Because when we are good, I mean everything's easy, we forget Allah.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean
Yeah.
to be patient is easier than to have shukr, to be grateful to Allah. So I think be positive is meaning that you have husnul zon, not toward others also, but toward Allah, the most important thing.
So the first one is to have sincerity, meaning when we do anything, the principle is based on Allah's pleasure that we seek for.
Yeah.
And the second one, we assess situation
And
to look at the bright side.
Yeah, look at the bright side,
Uh-huh.
look at the positive side, even though it's hurtful.
Yeah.
But still you have to look at the positive side. If not, you cannot go on. Okay, you dwell with all the negativity, you cannot go on. And third one, always be grateful for whatever you have. What little you have, be grateful. Be grateful to the friends that you have.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes your friend is so annoying, still you have to be grateful.
Yeah.
Okay, or sometimes they say hurtful thing.
Yes.
You should look at the good side of a person rather than the bad side of a person, because everybody has the plus and the minus. So we in our relationship we should look at the plus side. Okay, there is 3 things that is very important to me. I think if we hold dear these three things, I think our life will be okay. We would face problem, but we will be able to overcome it, inshallah.
How would the lowest point of your life look like? It doesn't have to be specifically the details, but perhaps you can share with us some moments when you feel the lowest and what helped you out from those kind of situations.
The lowest that have ever happened to me was like in early 2000.
Yeah.
Okay, I almost lapsed into depression. I feel so lonely, even though I have so many friends. My husband was really good to me, and everybody loves me. But because somebody stabbed me behind my back, stabbed me on my back, and then I feel that I'm being cheated, I've been betrayed, and it cost a lot to the place I worked.
Yeah.
And because of that problem, it cost the job also. And my company, I work for, many clients ran away because of this rumors of fitna.
Yeah.
And I feel at the lowest of low. I feel I lapse into depression. I feel so lonely, even though I'm working with others. Okay, how can I one day? I think to myself, I cannot go on like this. And then the best thing to do is I just forgive that person.
Forgiving.
I forgive that person. I feel that the heavy burden on my shoulder is like lifted, and I feel that my shoulder is very light.
Just the decision to forgive
To
that
forgive,
person.
yes, that simple decision to forgive is so very easy, but to forgive is very difficult because if you hurt so much. Okay, that was like the time until I have to be hospitalized because of that.
It affects you, meaning physically, your diet as well.
Yes.
And because our thoughts would affect our health.
Yes.
What are the practices you do to forgive that person? Is it like, for example, one time I heard people would say they would wake up in the morning and say, I forgive this person. How is it for you?
Okay, I told you before, you have to be sincere.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever happened and that person did to me, what I did is sincere. I did because of Allah. So therefore, I don't expect they will be good to me also. So if they don't want to be good, and that's okay. So I forgive them, and after I forgive them, my life is like easy. And after that, my life is kind of very easy. Of course, I have ups and downs, but not as bad at that time.
Did the event help you to maneuver the next events in your life? I mean, does it repeat itself? And you know
No,
how to...
it didn't, because I really be careful after that. It's like a lesson that I've learned a lot. Okay, to not trust people wholly, even though they're very close to you. You have to have some reservation.
Yeah.
I mean, some reservation. If something happens, you don't fall too hard.
Yes.
Okay, meaning that you always prepared for the worst. Okay, if you trust a person wholly and then they step you on your back, then you feel like you are at the worst. You cannot wake up. You cannot survive anymore. But
so it has to be having sincerity and to have a positive assessment of situation, and also to be grateful.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being open about that point of your life. So we'll come back after this, after the commercial break. Do stay tuned because we have more pressing, deep questions for Dr. Wan Mazwati. Welcome back to IIUM Brilliance. Today we have Dr. Wan Mazwati Wan Yusoff. And just now, I liked how you talked also about your family throughout the conversation, that I believe your family, it's very obvious. In classroom also we shared, and on your Facebook, which is a very good thing because you are inspiring many. And also with your students, you share about your life wisdom. So when it comes to perhaps your advice to your children and your students, what are the practices or habits that you think students should practice every day to stay creative, especially in terms of problem solving? Like, you solve the problem of your curiosity about where the money goes when we donate to Syrian NGOs, for example, for the Syrian, and also in terms of generating ideas in everyday life.
Okay. First, a student must have the habits of mind. Okay.
Habits of mind.
Yeah, the habits of mind, of creative mind, the habits of
Okay.
critical mind. Okay. Thinking is a skill.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore you have to practice it in order to be good at it. And after you practice in some time, it becomes the habits of your mind. So you have to develop it. If you learn in class, you will not be creative. The
Yeah.
tools that you learn, you have to use it. Then you can be creative. And how to develop this habit of mind? You should always wonder. Have a very huge curiosity.
Mm.
You want to know this. You want to know. You wonder always. Okay, it's not that you want to meddle in other people's life. You wonder about not people,
Yeah.
but about ideas. Okay, like for example, you walk around this TV studio, for example. Why this color? Why not this color? You experiment
Yeah.
with ideas in your mind.
Yeah.
Okay, that is number one. Number two, you have to read a lot. Okay, read a lot. You have to learn from other people's experience. Okay,
Okay.
when you read, because creativity is about you combining ideas to get of already concept that already exists in your mind.
Yeah.
All concept, when you combine it to come up with something new. So therefore, if you want to have lots of combination, of course you have to have lots of concept in your mind. How do you do it? Through your experience and also by reading a lot. Okay. And you know that number three, the most important thing also, some knowledge you learn by reading or
Mhm.
by people teaching you, but some knowledge you cannot learn by reading. Like for example, if you ask me how durian tastes, I will not be able to explain because that knowledge must be learned through experience.
Yes.
You have to taste it and in order to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Same with knowledge, with creativity. You have to do it. You have to experience. You have to experience new things every day. Not really big things. For example, every day you should try new food for breakfast. Okay. Instead, we live in IIUM. We have lots of
a lot of new
a lot of cafes with different food.
Yeah.
How when you learn new thing, when you taste new food,
Yeah.
it gives you certain new knowledge in your mind that you're gonna use later when you want to come up with something creative. Okay, when you walk to class, don't walk on the same route. Always change it when you come back, and because your
Yes.
perspective will change when you change your way. Okay,
Yes.
if you use always the same way, you will never learn something new because on the same way you already know. How can you know different thing if you always take the same road?
Yes.
And of course, you in IIUM, you should always have conversation, friendship with international, different cultures, because they understand things differently than us. They practice way of living differently from us. So from there, you learn different cultures.
So basically, to, for example, develop our creativity muscles, we must first, you said about practicing the habits of the mind. That is, trying the thinking tools we learn at class outside. Like last time we thought about the 6 thinking hats, for example. And the second one is to read books, because to synthesize many different concepts. Is that true?
Yeah.
And the third one you mentioned about experiencing the experience itself, because reading is one thing, but experiencing is something that nobody can do it for us, representing us. And also mixing with other cultures.
Yeah, mixing with other culture. Okay, and also the most important, if you travel, of course you learn a lot.
Yeah.
And it makes you creative. Sometimes people are so creative. You ask question, at that time they give answers. You know, answers that you never heard before. But of course, this is learned through experience by going places.
Yeah.
Okay.
You also wrote few articles and journals on Islamic perspective of thinking, as well as I think hadith on how to manage behaviors in your journal. So now it's very famous that we know we have Edward de Bono's thinking tools. How would thinking tools look differently from the Islamic perspective? Can you share something?
Okay. Thinking tool is not, because it's a tool.
Yeah.
Okay. Tool is there is no religion in tool. Okay. Meaning that it's like a knife. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, how you use it determine whether it's halal or haram, whether it's Islamic or not.
Yeah.
Same with the thinking tools, the
Yeah.
Western thinking tools. It's just a tool, but of course Islam has different understanding of thinking, of creativity, because we are not. Our creativity will always bound by Sharia.
Yes.
We cannot go overbound. I mean, we have to think of what moral and what immoral.
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course in Islam it's kind of different from other religion.
Yeah.
Islam focus too much on akal, on the power of akal to make correct decision.
Islam
And
respects the position of akal.
Yeah, because in, let's say for example in Surah Al-Mulk verse 10, Allah says that the people in the hell say that if only they listen or use their mind.
Yeah.
Or use their akal, they will
Yes.
not be in the hellfire.
Yeah.
It's like a guarantee by Allah. If you use your akal, you will not be in hellfire. So akal is so very powerful that Allah makes you different from any animal. And then with that akal, Allah asks malaikat, angel, to prostrate
Yeah.
on Adam, because the power of Adam akal to withhold knowledge, and then to create something new with that available knowledge.
So akal is the reason why mankind is esteemed.
Yes, that's akal. That's how we differ from other creation actually.
So we stay respected as a human race if we use that akal within the Sharia of Allah. Like you said, it's a tool, like the Wi-Fi. We have it, but it's depends on us what we browse and how we use it.
Yeah, people will always look down on akal. Actually, it is the organ that is very important to us, to human. In fact, if you read the story of many Muslim new Muslim, it is their akal that make them want to become Muslim, because after they did a very extensive research, they found the truth in Islam. Okay. It's not that they are interested. They just want to become Muslim, just
not just blindly
no,
accepting a new religion.
But they really do. They really use very critical mind, then ask very critical question.
True. That's very fascinating, because every time we wake up in the morning, we don't really appreciate the fact that we have the ability to think. And one is to acknowledge that blessings, and second, to make sure that every single decision that we do, every thought that we have is within the Sharia. So we will come back after this, after the commercial break, to more pressing question, and please stay tuned. Welcome back to IIUM Brilliance. I'm enjoying the discussion and conversation so far. Thank you so much, Dr. Wan. And just now, on the second point, I think you mentioned about the importance of traveling and as well as mixing with new cultures so that we have the experiences and being exposed to new ideas. Would you agree that traveling and meeting new people from different backgrounds are a kind of education which classrooms sometimes could not offer?
Okay, yeah, not only sometimes. I mean, classroom is just a push, a trigger. I mean, after that you have to go on experiencing. Okay, you should not learn in the classroom and stop in the class, and then you answer your question in exam. Not that's not it. You learn and then you want to experience it. Okay, traveling is one way, and I found that through traveling, inshallah, you will be creative because you learn a lot of new things, and you see a lot of new experience, and through traveling also you will be able to appreciate uh, the the attributes of Allah more. For example, every day we look in Malaysia, it's very green. I mean, it become normal. You don't feel that appreciative. But when you go to some other countries, you see everything's white, and you say, "MashaAllah, that's so beautiful." But for the people there, it's not beautiful. Because that is normal. Then when you don't travel, you don't appreciate Allah's creation. You have to travel to be able to appreciate, to say, "MashaAllah, Subhanallah." Okay, and when you travel, it's like you have to reflect that it is your life is sort of like you traveling because you are going to die. Okay, when you travel, you carry little things. You don't carry the whole house with you. Little things that's supposed to be your life is like that. You don't own a lot. You just own little because you are going to live in the hereafter. That is your ultimate end. Okay. So travel can teach you that, and travel can teach you to really, really hope for Allah only. Really, really ask Allah for help. Really, you feel that Allah is the only place that you can hang on. You can ask. You whatever problems that you can confide. Because for example, you're on the flight and then it's a big turbulence. And you feel afraid. At that time, you can only ask from Allah, because nobody can help you at that time.
Also, you mentioned before this, just going to our classroom, for example, we have to change our route sometimes so that we see things differently. But when we travel, it's like detour way longer. So when perhaps we have issues or problems in our head, but when we travel and meet new people, so we see, oh, it's actually not so much a dead end. I can overcome it this way. So that's how we change it into opportunity.
Yes. And Allah say, have you not traveled? And the Quran, have you not traveled and learn from those people before you? Take lesson from them. But you cannot do it if you don't travel.
True. What do you think about the youth who want to travel? Should they wait until they are financially stable, or it's something that we should do when we're still young and single?
Okay, young and single is good because I mean you don't face a lot of issues and problems, and travel is not expensive actually if you know how to do it. You know that there are now Skyscanner and a lot of things that can help you find, but you have to plan ahead. And if you're kind of very adventurous and you are not afraid to sleep at the mosque or to ask for help, you are not shy to ask for help from people at the place you go to, then it's good. And I think that most Malaysian, when they make decision, they want to have money that enough first. But there are people that I met, they say that risk is from Allah. If you have taqwa, Allah give you risk. Just go. And that is the difference between Malaysian and or probably Indonesian. I asked some Indonesian, why you come? You have no money at all. How do you feel so brave to come here? They say that Allah give him bravery to come here with nothing. And when they hear, many people have him, and then he finished PhD, from master to PhD, without scholarship whatsoever.
Do you put travel goals? I mean, you personally.
Yes,
You also help people all over the world and locally as well. But for you personally, just to travel, seeing new places, do you put?
Yeah,
certain goals?
okay. If I go to places, I will ask myself, how can I help
Oh.
the people there? So meaning that I didn't go to places that they're very advanced, that doesn't need my help. I go to places that need my help. So for example, I went to Macedonia because I can help them
Oh.
in terms of training the youth and parenting, and also I go to Cambodia. I
Yeah.
go to Uganda because there they need help a lot, and also Nepal. And,
Need help in terms of,
not
is it just not only financially but also in terms of education?
Skills.
Yeah.
They need to know what is education, how to educate, because when you go to school, mashallah, it's so very. I mean, just like a refugee school, but they are not refugee.
But they are local people.
They are local people, and they need a lot of help in terms of money, but they need help in terms of skills also. Education. The most
So you
important
said
thing.
your travel goals, you identify the places whom the people you could help
Yeah,
that way.
yeah, and my next goal is Kyrgyzstan.
Oh.
Okay.
Is that in the Middle East as well?
No, it's in Central Asia.
Oh,
It's
okay. Sorry, I failed geography. Yeah.
okay, because there's so many Muslim who don't understand what Islam is.
But they are Muslims.
They are Muslim because they live under communism for so long, and they don't know the right concept, the right meaning of Islam.
Oh.
They practice through tradition. Okay, that's passed over from generation to generation. Then that tradition is not necessarily correct. There are some really not Islamic tradition, but they think it is Islamic.
There is a point to ponder that when we want to do a decision, not just our own pleasure, but also how we can help other people.
And I have also request from Georgia, Muslim in Georgia,
Yes.
to help them train their teachers and also youth. But I have done nothing yet so far. But inshallah, when I have free time, this summer probably.
I see. So one of the questions that we ask every guest here is about their readings and suggestions. So what do you think are the 3 books that everyone should read?
Okay. Everyone should read. For me, for young people, okay, not for people like me. For young people, they should read God Arises.
God Arises.
By Maulana Wahiduddin Khan. They should read books by Jeffrey Lang, and this to teach you how to think critically and understand Islam using akal. And then you should also read The Alchemist.
The Alchemist.
Okay.
I would rate that also highly. You would recommend those 3 books
Yes.
for everyone to read.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Dr. Wan Mazwati, for making your time here, because we learn a lot first from your experiences. It's also, in a way, we talk about creativity, we learn about the experiences. Now we have new concepts to synthesize in our day life. So inshallah, in the future, we would have more discussion like this. If you have any comments, reviews and insights, share it in the comment section below. Give it a big thumbs up if you like any of the points. Share it with your friends. And don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, by the name of IIUM TV. You can always watch this video after this live. And definitely catch us on every Friday, 9 p.m., where we talk about the insights and the mindsets of IIM high achievers. So I think that is all. Thank you so much, Dr. Wan Mazwati. And IIM community, it is the way we stay brilliant by learning from the ones who have achieved it. So, inshallah, one more time, stay brilliant and follow us on social media. Inshallah, hopefully this discussion would stay beneficial to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm enjoying it, yes.